I got this bag 1 year ago and thought it was incredible. At least in potential. I've traveled to a few places with it now, and I wanted to visit this question for myself. Is it still as incredible as I once thought it was? Let's find out. Hey, hope you're having a great day. Today we are revisiting this famed bag to see how it's held up over time. The Urth Arkose 20 liter with the camera insert inside. My usage. So first let's talk about how much use this bag has had for me and what I've used it for over the last year. Back in my first look of this bag, I said it was great for travel. And that's pretty much what I've used it for. And I'd say it's probably the biggest purpose of the bag. Or it's at least aimed at that. The most recent and biggest trip I've taken was to Japan. And that's where the bag received its most extensive use. My bag has never been used as much as it's been used in Japan, or never been as full as it was in Japan. And I used it consistently for 6 weeks. Now that you understand the amount of usage my bag has received, next I'll show you what kind of durability you can expect. Quality and durability. So let's take a closer look at the bag and see what's happened since I've had it. First, let's take a look at the outside. You might see straight away there's a few marks on my bag. That's probably because I haven't tried to clean it extensively since I got back. If we take a look at the Urth logo, it seems to be still fully intact because it does protrude off the side of the bag and you can physically feel it there. So it could catch on things in the future. So far, it hasn't seemed to do that, but it is a little bit dirty. Now let's take a look at the zippers. That's a bit dirty, but otherwise nothing. Fine, except for a bit of fabric coming off it. So it's unraveling just a little bit there. This one's mostly fine, this is fine. The bottom of this is a little bit dirty and fabric on it, whatever it is kind of fluffing up. You probably won't be able to see that very clearly. Even if I bring it up to the camera, you probably still can't see that. But it looks like it's kind of hairy. That's the best way to describe it. You'll know what I mean when you see that type of thing. It happens on gym shoes as well. Really common. Let's take a look at the outside, the back. There's a little bit of unraveling happening here at the shoulder strap at the top. A little bit of fabric coming off there. And here, a little bit of fabric coming here. A little bit of fabric coming off here. So that is not good. This part's fine in the middle. This zipper is totally fine. Probably because it's hidden most of the time, because that is the hidden zipper. And these side zippers are just a tad fluffing a bit and slightly unraveling. Nothing too crazy here. But one thing I do want to show you is the bottom of this bag, because there is something happening here that I didn't show you at the beginning and that I knew of prior to starting this video. You may be able to notice at the front bottom corner of the backpack, this thing happening here. Not sure if you can see very clearly, but what I have here is a dark spot and this kind of dark brown bit of nylon or whatever this is. And that is like that because I actually burnt that on purpose. The reason I burnt it is because this area here was unraveling quite significantly in Japan. And I had to burn it to stop it from coming undone even further. And I think it's not fully sealed. So if I pull that, it'll probably unravel a bit further. That resulted in a little bit of charring on the bottom here when I tried to do that. A significant amount had to be done because it was just coming apart and I didn't want it to come apart on me while I was traveling. That is the biggest thing that I've noticed so far. Let's take a look at these bottom bits here. So these are pretty much in perfect condition here. These are totally fine. The straps, a little bit of an unraveling here. This part's, the metal part's fine. Mostly fine for the straps. Even the connector part on the side is mostly fine, but it looks like it has a bit of tear. If that was to be pulled more significantly, like just straight up like that, on that way, then I could see that unraveling, to be honest. This area here. Now let's take a look at the inside, see if anything's changed there. You'll notice it's a little bit dirty here, probably dirty in a couple spots here, but that's just wipe offable. You can wipe that. Any wear and tear in here, I rarely use this slot because it does not fit my laptop. This spot here is always used for my laptop. Totally fine inside. I often use pens. And this actually is unraveling a little bit here. What else do we have? Inside here, that seems totally fine. For the most part, that's fine. This is fine. These pockets are more substantial and well built. And the bottom is pretty much fine. Inside this zipper pocket, have some alcohol wipes. Very handy. This pocket is totally fine. These pockets here, where I use them very often in Japan, and they are apparently totally fine. Still got some stuff in here from Japan. I don't even know what it is. Tickets of some sort. I think it was from Studio Ghibli. So these spots are totally fine here. They were used heavily. Now let's take a look at the camera insert inside. Now we can actually just take this out, have a look at it closer up. This is the setup I used right here. That's all I used. I had one separator, my ND filter in there, and some wireless mics, and my camera in this side. There's nothing happening at all in here, to be honest. There's no tearing or loosening of anything. There's no unraveling. I don't see anything like that happening with this. And it's probably because it's not something that gets tossed around or touched a lot, if that makes sense, inside the bag. We can look at the pocket in the bag where it actually houses the camera insert. This pocket got used a few times. There is still a few things in here, like an SD card. That is totally fine. In the bottom of the bag, I realize I'm not showing you very, very clearly this stuff, but it's kind of hard to do that. I have to stick the camera inside the bag. But yeah, that's totally fine. So there's nothing really happening there. What is going on with the bag at this stage is pretty much just a lot of unraveling here and there in different spots, especially at the front here. This was unraveling heavily. And that is an overview of the quality and durability of the bag after 1 year. Do I still love it? That's a good question. After 1 year of extensive use, I can say truly how I feel. Oh, and before I give my final thoughts, don't forget to subscribe and like the video so YouTube can push it out to more people. I can finally say this bag is unfortunately not as good as I wanted it to be. And here's why. It's definitely missing some things that I could have found really useful and valuable while I was traveling. And these things I found myself wanting more and more the longer I traveled for. So for my use case, it needs to have a water bottle pocket, or at least one of the pockets it has needs to be compatible with a water bottle. Even these ones, these pockets here on the side are not compatible, not really compatible with a water bottle. One of my specific pain points when I was in Japan was trying to deal with food and water that I bought, because it was quite often that I bought food and water while I was out. It's just so convenient in Japan to do that. Trying to store that or put it away in my bag while I have all my other stuff in there is really difficult to do, surprisingly. You might not think so, but it is. Especially if you're carrying around a jacket in very cold temperatures, like wintertime. And if you want to take that jacket off for some reason and not carry it around your waist, it would be nice to have more space inside to do that without food, drinks, clogging it up, and all your tech that you also put in there. Especially if you have a laptop, that really reduces the amount of space you have in here. Any trinkets and small things that you put inside these pockets here as well that maybe are not tech, just purchases you made or things you might need for your travel or your filming that isn't specifically tech related, not necessarily, but even if it's tech related, putting it in there, again, reduces the amount of space you have. It sounds small, but everything small adds up. So I'd say this is the ultimate tech bag and not the ultimate travel bag. One caveat to that statement that I just made though, is that if you carry or are used to carrying or you want to carry or you're open to carrying 2 bags or just, an extra bag with you when you're traveling, especially if you go somewhere like Japan, it could actually be feasible. For me, 1 bag, this one was not enough. All right, so this next point maybe is a weird take, but there's no true separators in the main portion of the bag. Something that I started to realize that I really wanted after some time using the bag. Honestly, I'm gonna say that Japan was a really good testing ground trip for this bag. Even though I had it a while before that, that was a huge moment where I had this bag in use consistently for a very long period of time. And inside here, aside from this sort of front separation here and this separation, there's no other kind of big separation, and it's kind of hard to explain, I guess, but imagine what I'm talking about kind of to be like this. The inside of the camera insert has this separator here. You can move it around. I would love to have seen something like that in this bag, because it's kind of going back to what I said before. If you have stuff that's tech and not tech and you don't want to mix those together, like food and drink, as I was saying before, it was difficult to deal with that. You kind of need a spot to put that stuff separate from your tech. Like, what if the bottle opens of your drink and it gets onto your tech? It's going to be a lot safer if you have a separator in there to put that away from your food or your drinks. I'm gonna say it's not just me that has tech in here as well as the camera insert, because the camera inserts, let's be real, it's not that big, and it'll fit a light travel camera, which is totally fine for me. That's what I'm all about, light traveling in terms of tech, you know, relatively light. That's why I have this bag, using the lightest things I can possible and maximizing what I can. So got a light camera, only a couple pieces of equipment that I really want to use, like a mini tripod, like literally the handheld one, the Sony one, that one right there, an ND filter, like that, and a wireless microphone setup, which is a lot smaller than having a large Rode shotgun mic on top of your camera. And it comes in like a little box, because I use the Rode Wireless Pros. Amazing product, by the way. I kind of put them into here as well. But this didn't fit in here. This kind of, I'm just showing you for example. I used to put this in here. And then I've got a camera strap as well, and that kind of doesn't really fit either. And trying to have it all set up at all times when I need it, but then also wanting to put it away because there's just too much stuff to deal with when you're just like, you know, living your life in Japan. I'm just gonna say it's too small for all of that. That's what I found. It was just too small for all the stuff that you want to have. Even though I am just essential on my camera gear, it still wasn't enough. And don't even get me started on just shopping in general. If you're somewhere that you're gonna be shopping and you wanna vlog it, and you're gonna be buying food at the same time, drinks, maybe a bunch of clothes, you might have a jacket with you, it's gonna fill up very, very quickly. And mine did, all the time, fill up very, very quickly. 20 liters with the camera insert in there is, I'm gonna tell you now, it's not enough for that. If you are a minimalist, I don't know, I've seen this word recently, I don't know if it's a word, but some people are using it. It's called an essentialist. If you're one of those people like me, you have what you need, pretty much. But it's more than a minimalist, because a minimalist just kind of has literally the bare minimum of, you know, obviously still what you need, but maybe an essentialist is kind of more what you want to have. But you still have, I don't know, essential is what's essential, right? Minimal is less than essential, so you have less than you need, right? Is that right? So maybe a minimalist might not carry around a separate set of microphones, but an essentialist, like me, would, because sound is known to be the #1 thing. Perhaps I could have gotten away with my phone, I suppose. But again, the essentialist in me, or like the, I don't know, is it the essentialist? The high quality like need in me was like, no, you have this camera for this purpose, use it. It's light. Like, you know, I've optimized it. I have the ZVE1, so it's one of the lightest cameras you can get that has amazing image quality. I have a light lens and everything fits easily in here. But when you put it on top of traveling and living, then it's too much. I'm gonna end the rant there. So that's my real world experience with the bag and the pain points that prominently stood out while I was in Japan. Here's the conclusion. If you're like me and you want to vlog and travel, but actually experience the place you visit, which usually means living in the moment, then you'll need a bigger bag. Do I still appreciate the bag for what it is? Hell yes. Is it still useful? Of course. Do I now think twice before I take it as my sole bag to travel around with? Well, yes, I do. It's made me really consider what I need for the day and then only place what I need in the bag so I don't overstuff it and I have plenty of space for anything else I might need throughout the day. If you want to get the bag, it's available on Urth's website, and you know what? I'll put a link in the description so you can get to it quickly if you want to, even though this video isn't sponsored by Urth. Do they even ever sponsor anyone? Have a great day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.